Is it possible to make it in Hollywood without actually being in Hollywood? Elizabeth Donaldson seems to think so. This is Kristen Keeps It Real. Who is Elizabeth Donaldson? This is Elizabeth Donaldson, and she has made a full-time living working as an actress in Nashville, Tennessee. Yep, I said it, folks. Not New York, not Vancouver, not Atlanta, Nashville, Tennessee. And she is here to debunk, demystify, and derail any idea that you thought you had that you can only be a star in Hollywood. And you want to know why? Because she is going to be playing a lead in a movie coming out during Thanksgiving, anywhere there is streaming. I'm going to stop talking right now because you probably want to know what she has to say. So
pay attention! Pay attention.
So, how long have you been in the entertainment industry?
Woo! I've been in the entertainment industry for 20 years.
Wow.
Since I was 3. Just kidding. It's a weird thing. It's weird. Well, I feel like you're the same way that like you can get to an age, there's an age in your life where you just either you didn't take very good care of yourself and now you're aging, or you just literally look the same age for like 15 years. You know? What? Yeah. It's like mysterious, like, is she 27 or is she 43? Like, we don't know. It's this weird, like, entertainment no man's land.
It really is. Why is Nashville so appealing to you?
Nashville's amazing because the cost of living, although it is inching up bit by bit, the cost of living here is really low. And it's also right next to Atlanta. You're in the Southeast. So Atlanta is a 5-hour drive, and they're shooting like 30% of films and TV shows in Atlanta these days. So you're right next to a major market there. There's also a ton of other markets. Like, you know, they shoot things in Virginia. You're not super far from New York. I mean, a little far from New York, but you're still on the East Coast. And there's all sorts of acting, especially now because so much is digital. There's things that are happening all over the place. And so when you're in Nashville, you're really like around all of that. And there's a huge music video community here. There's a ton of commercials that are done here. The talent, because the music video industry has been around for God knows how long, it's been around for a really long time. The talent in terms of directors of photography, directors, just filmmakers in general is massive in Nashville. And a lot of those people, you know, they shoot videos here. They also cross work in a lot of people that I know who are directors and cinematographers and all of the, you know, makeup artists, stylists, and all those people. They work in LA, they work in Atlanta, they're working in different markets all the time. So you get to sort of have this life that feels really normal. It's one thing I liked about it. Like I said, when I was in Los Angeles, I felt like everybody was always talking about acting all the time, which it's weird because I consider acting to be the love of my life. It's like literally I'm obsessed with it. I love it. There's nothing that I love more. I cry about how much I love it. But other than situations like this, where like you and I are talking about it based on interest and, you know, we want to help other people and give other people information. When I'm like hanging out with people, I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about everything but acting. And so I like that about Nashville. It's like a real breath of fresh air that people don't care who you are or what you've been in or what your credits are. Like, people are very human here. And so for me, that helps me as an actor too, because I feel like acting is all about being a human being, not about being an actor. So when you can be more of a human, it allows you to be a better actor, I think, if that makes sense. Live, like, I don't want to meet you in the grocery store and talk about my resume. Like, I had a date yesterday. It was the first date with this guy who was from LA, and weirdly, I was like, oh God, like, I mean, he was a nice person, but I was like, oh, this is so LA. Like, cause the whole date, he was just like dropping resume points, like, oh, and I worked with this and this is in development and this is how
I hope you're not watching right now.
I know. I was like,
you're not getting a second date.
Right? Like, I don't care about your resume. Like, what do you have to feel about especially now, like 2020 has been the weirdest year of everyone's life. Like,
right?
I don't want to talk about postcards or like, I just want to be human. So it's really nice here because people are just the industry is very grounded. Even like, sets are really different. Like people are really, really kind. There's just a lot of the things that I didn't like about being an actor in LA just don't exist here. And it's very like family friendly and it's really, it's just a great place to create. I feel so free. I just feel like I can really be myself. And I feel like that helps enrich me as an artist, which I love.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have an agent there?
I do. Yeah. I'm with the Block Agency and I've been with them. I've been with my agent for 10 years out here. So,
wow. So like you actually have an agent in Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mark is awesome. Like Mark has an agency. He just opened last year. He opened a new agency in Denver. And he submits to everything and he's very well established. Mark is a beast. Mark is literally, I feel like he's not real.
So does he get you stuff like in Atlanta and different places, or is it mostly Nashville?
It's mostly Nashville. But if there's a show, like I've had auditions for Stranger Things, I've had auditions for MacGyver, I've had auditions for, I'm trying to think. There's like a lot of stuff that shoots in Atlanta. Ozark, I've had auditions for, like, which I think that's one thing that's really cool because there's a lot of super cool shows that shoot in Atlanta that I don't think that LA is getting the love. Like, I don't think
I was just about to say that. I was like, you shoot the shows people actually watch. Like you are looking for the shows that people want to watch.
Yeah.
And I think that's freaking rad.
It's exciting. Yeah, it feels cool,
Cool. Okay. So that leads us to the next question. What kind of opportunities or auditions are available for actors in your city? Like, do you have jobs where you can get residuals or?
Absolutely. I've booked national commercials out here. I just did a commercial for Virgin Hotels, which was a massive campaign, you name it, Target. Like on a commercial level, there's all sorts of things. And then in terms of films, huge feature films, like I was in the Brian Banks movie, small part, but that, I went and saw it in a theater with my dad. When I was traveling, it was like one of the movies that was available to watch, like on the plane. I was like, oh my God, that's my movie. This is so cool.
That is cool.
But also an actress who I know I have a girl who lives in Nashville and she's a series regular on a show. I forget the name. I've never seen it. And there's also, I don't work in this as much, but there's a huge community of like Christian films. I have a friend who's a producer and she's producing right now, like a Christian Christmas movie. And it has, I think that Sweet Magnolias was shot somewhere in the Southeast. I don't know whether that was Atlanta or, but there's a huge market for that. And I know a ton of people who they're on, movies of the week or they're on Lifetime movies or, they make their living as lead actors in a film. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. I had a friend who was on they shot the whole second season of CBS Tell Me a Story out here. I auditioned for that. I had a friend who had a role on that. There's a ton of opportunity. And it's also I don't know, maybe this is a touchy issue. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I feel the need to say this is that there were a lot of the Me Too type stuff that was happening or some of the unethical environments of Hollywood. It's just not here. In the Nashville industry, especially because the locals we just have a very ethical film community. So you just don't deal with that sort of thing. Granted, in Hollywood and LA, that stuff doesn't exist as much anymore. And it's getting weeded out and it's getting exposed, but there's sort of a culture of that world. And I think that it creates, for somebody who just wants to like not have to like, go party with people or do weird networking.
If you want to be an actor to become famous, then you should just be a reality star. Like, because that will get you the quickest way to become famous is reality TV. But if you truly love art and truly be an actor, this is a long road gig. And the hustle never actually stops.
Never. It never ends. I have that, like, I have a joke, but it's not really a joke because it's true for me that like, I'm always like, well, I'm not Beyonce. So like, and even if I was Beyonce, I think that I'd be like, oh, like I have this bigger project that I want to do. And like, I want to do even more. Like I'm very, very, I wouldn't call it hard on myself because that's not, but I don't know, like I'm never satisfied. And I think that that's a good quality. I like that about myself. I think, I wouldn't be in this career. This career provides a big game to play in that regard.
Right? Are you able to get enough work as an actor to not have to do anything else?
Yeah, definitely. I do a couple other things just because I like them and I get work as them. Like I do wardrobe styling. Which has been amazing. So I work as a stylist on music videos. I've worked with like Dolly Parton. I was a stylist on the Black Keys, newest music video back. Like, how they kind of had a 5-year hiatus and then they had their first music video back. I was the one who did all the styling on that. And many, many, many others. So that's really fun. I do some photography, but I've decided to really buckle down. Sometimes I find that when I'm doing those other things, it can end up being a distraction for me from acting. So I've tried to, especially in 2020, because I don't know, like I love styling. It's amazing. I've learned a lot about filmmaking and like projects and learned enough to be able to feel like I can confidently, and I've directed some music videos and things like that. So it makes me feel confident that I can create projects, but where my heart really is I just want to start writing my own shorts, writing my own films, and really doubling down into that and just take all of my ability to style and my ability to do photography and my ability to direct and just be like, cool, like I want to create my projects,
That's really awesome to have.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like, I certainly worked hard to get there.
How many auditions would be like a good amount per week then?
I sent in a self-tape the other day. I didn't get it, but I thought, I was like, I wrote my agent. I was like, either they're going to book me for sure, or they're going to get a restraining order against me. Cause I literally picked my nose. Because in the thing they said, they were like, make a bunch of funny faces on camera. We want to make sure that this person is totally comfortable being really strange. And I was like, well, here we go. I was like, really, I was very strange and, whatever, it didn't work. But like, I've always been a big believer, in my original training trained us that like, you make big choices, you commit. That's how you get work, is like you commit to big choices, and either you're going to make a big choice and they're going to be like, that girl, that was interesting, we want to cast her, or they're going to be like, that was super weird, but I'm willing to take that risk, because I just feel like, I don't know, because it's worked for me. I've taken a lot of big choices and I've booked a lot of things, and I've made big choices and not booked, but I've booked is the key,
Do you feel you can make it living in Nashville, or will inevitably have to move to a larger market like LA or New York?
Oh, I definitely feel like I can make it living in Nashville. And COVID has made me feel even more so. Like I honestly believe 100%. And it's funny because people ask me all the time, they're like, why don't you move to LA? And I'm like, literally, if I moved to LA, it would hurt my career. It wouldn't help it. Like I would go backwards. And especially because like my big thing, and it's been cool. Like I have 2 independent movies. One of them's coming out. We shot it in Wisconsin, but one independent movie is coming out in November on Thanksgiving. And then the other independent film that I shot earlier this year, we just got accepted into the Nashville Film Festival. The script is up for a bunch of awards. And the 2 girls who wrote it, I love them so much. They're modeling their whole career off of the Duplass brothers, which, are you familiar with the?
No, tell me about that.
Okay. This is the best. Mark Duplass was he was in Bombshell. He's in a lot of other things, but the things that I have seen that I loved him in were Bombshell, what was the one with Jennifer Aniston? The Morning Show.
Uh-huh.
He played the producer in the Morning Show and he's such a good actor. And he's an interesting actor and he's different. Well, he and his brother got their start making like $25,000 budget, ultra low budget films that they wrote themselves, with like very little. It was like them. They have this movie called Creep, and it's literally just two characters. And it's this sort of weird movie. And the premise is that this like creepy guy hires a documentary filmmaker to come like document his life. And then like, so everything is from the perspective of the camera of the documentary filmmaker guy. It's a great movie. And they did a lot of movies like that were like very simple, very low budget. And now he's on the Morning Show with Jennifer Aniston. But I think Creep only came out in like 2009. Like, and it's not like they're young, like there's all these things that we were sort of, I think, indoctrinated into in Hollywood that in my opinion are part of like the old, like I call it the Me Too, but that's just because when I think of Harvey Weinstein and when I think of all those like institutions, I think of like, not just the sexism, but like everything about like in the show Hollywood. Have you seen that on Netflix?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, all of those weird systems of like owning people and grooming people that like are part of old Hollywood and to a certain degree still exist today and are weird and strange and that none of us like and that have nothing to do with art. And I'm not saying that all of Hollywood is like that because I don't think that it is at all, but little remnants of that stuff still exist. And I think a lot of us, especially if we like started our careers in Los Angeles, we're sort of indoctrinated into this viewpoint that you have to look a certain way, you have to be a certain way, you have to weigh a certain amount of weight. And the great way to circumvent all of that is you just write your own films. And if you're good, then like your films get picked up. Like all the big budget Hollywood stuff is kind of having a hard time right now because of COVID. So because it depends on like extras and crazy locations and all this stuff. And huge crews. So now it's like, there's never been a better time to like grab your iPhone or grab your DSLR, like get a fucking sound guy and just.
But the fact that you have the ability, especially being where you are, to be able to just be like, fine, I can waste it.
Yeah.
And you move on to something else.
It's nice.
I think your quality of life in the sense, okay, cool. So it's cheaper to live there. So you can spend more money on acting classes, shooting, things like that. So that all your money that you get doesn't go straight into your bills. And you're like, oh, should I do for promotion this week? Should I update my website? Should I add 3 pictures on Actors Access this week?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to make those decisions.
Sure.
Am I right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And also it gives me like time as a currency.
Yes.
You know? So I have time. I don't have to worry. Like I can book one commercial and that covers all my bills for the month, you know? And some people have, you know, they have a bigger mortgage or they have bigger rent to pay.
Or they have kids to go to private school.
Yes. Yeah. All those things. It's like, it's a lot, you know, it's just a lot cheaper to live. And it is true. The quality of life is really cool. So I can invest it in art. I have the luxury of like spending some time making a weird video or like, you know, or it will be cool. Cause like I'm looking into, you know, I have some things that I'm writing and some, like a short film that I'm writing. And then this idea for like a feature that I think could be a really great COVID feature. Cause I'm just trying to think of things of like, okay, what can I shoot that won't require a big crew and that won't require a big cast? Cause also like, I mean, networks or Netflix and Hulu and all those places, like they're running out of content. Like they need people. So if you do them the favor of creating something that looks good and is very entertaining and that they didn't have to sink any money into, and you're just like, hi, you know,
wrap it up in a bow. Speaking of, I know there's something you got picked up for. So can you please talk about that?
Wait, something I got picked up for?
Yeah, with Ryan.
Yes.
Okay. Please talk about this because she came from Florida, right?
Yes.
Filmed this with you in Nashville.
We filmed it in Wisconsin.
Oh, in Wisconsin?
Yeah.
And now, tell me, it's like about to explode.
Yeah, so Mags and Jules go on a road trip. It's like a buddy comedy about 2 friends, and one of them's kind of a workaholic who has a boss who's a real jerk. And they go on a road trip to her uncle's or her uncle's, grandpa, whatever, like crazy cabin. And it just all sorts of mayhem ensues. So she wanted it to be kind of like a grumpy old men, kind of like a throwback to these old things. There's a ton of physical comedy. Like I literally was like, every day I had a new bruise or I was like very sore. Like my body was like, oh, like I remember I went to the chiropractor, like when I came home after we shot it, and they were like, what happened to you? And I was like, physical comedy, man. Like
physical comedy, broad. Don't tell me to dial it down. I'm bringing the broad back. I miss broad comedy, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Nowadays there's a lot of like mumblecore, like there's like or ultra subtle comedy, which I do not find it funny. Like I'm like, is this? I like big, bold, like, and I'm also like, you can see I'm always like, I'm always talking with my hands. I'm very physical. I love physical comedy. I'm obsessed with it. So there's a lot of fun characters. It's also like Wisconsin. Who knew? Well, you have Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's actually right next to Chicago. So Milwaukee has a really cool film community. And like the guy who plays our boss is now he started doing during quarantine, these things called story raps, which are like, he would rap Dr. Seuss books to like Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
And he now, because he did that, like got picked up with this whole network, and what's the network? Oh, I don't know what it's called, but I know it's called Story Raps, and it's on like the Kid something network. That's like literally what he's doing. He has his own kid show now.
What? All because he was in a movie with you guys in Wisconsin?
I would love to say that, but it was just on his own volition. He's a very talented guy.
Right.
He like
the being in this movie, like put an eyeball on him or no?
No, I think it was just that he just started doing, he happens to be in our movie. And then he also was doing story raps just because he wanted to, because he was like, well, I'm quarantined. Like, let me rap some Dr. Seuss. Sorry, my dog just fell off the couch. He literally just he was sleeping and then like he was stretched and just fell off.
Oh no! Sorry.
Yeah. But so he started doing story raps, and now he has his own kids show. So yeah, we've got some talent. Like we've got a lot of cool stuff, and that comes out on Thanksgiving.
Wow! And what's it going to be on? Which network?
It'll be you can get it anywhere that things stream. So the focus is on iTunes, get it on iMovie or whatever it is, but you can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it anywhere. So
wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel like that people like literally work their whole lifetime to just get what you had in that film. And you have many films under your belt. That's so awesome.
I mean, I think that's the key. I'm like that's like, I'll like go to my grave, like create your own content. I think it's like, and I think that's what makes me different from a lot of people. And it was a big shift for me in moving from, Los Angeles to Nashville. It's like, I feel like the flow with a lot of people in LA is like, wait for the call, wait for the callback, wait for the casting director, and the flow that I've always had. And it's like, I have an agent, my agent's great, but it doesn't stop me from like I consider myself 100% responsible for my career all the time. So, and I also feel like, Ryan, the writer and director of Mags and Jewels, talks about this, that sometimes you'll be in a space where you're like, the things that I want to see, I don't see them on television. So I should create this. And for me, that's like this, I have this huge thing because I'm like tragically single. And so I like on my date night, like I watch a lot of romantic.
Really hard time believing that, by the way.
It's true. It's true. I don't know. Maybe that'll crack someday, but I watch a lot of romantic comedies, because I guess it's like a substitute for a date or something. But what I've learned in this romantic comedy journey is that there's really not any good romantic comedies out there. They all suck. So I'm like, I should just write a bunch of them. because I love the genre and I think it's a great genre. And I know there's probably a lot of single ladies just like me who are like, man, I wish there was a good romantic comedy. So I'm like, I will write it for you. Like, let's go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for shedding light that LA and New York is not the only place someone can be successful as an actor. And I really love that you just totally disassembled this idea that you have to be in LA.
Phew, whoa, are you relieved? Because I am totally relieved. I feel really good about that interview and really good to know that I wouldn't have to stay in LA if I didn't want to. Also, could you do me a favor? Put in the comments below, where are you coming from? What are your opportunities out there? I'm sure that it would help other people that are in the same boat as you. We all could use a little help right now. Also, do me a favor, subscribe, like, notify yourself every time a new video comes on, and I am happy to keep them coming. Also, if you have some time, go check out my other videos on should you get a mic for your self-tapes? What backdrops are the best for you? I mean, there's plenty. Just go binge, have a blast. Anyways, I'll see you next week. Bye.